Welcome to another episode of Every Tenday, where a dad plays D&D with his kids.
Yalla!
Hello.
Every story, to coin a well-worn cliche, must have a beginning and must have an end. And that end isn't always the end of the story, but it's the end of the tale for now, at least. Powerful heroes, believe me, can come back. They can come back to exert great will and adventure upon the realms, upon the world. But there's a point where the book ends, and this is the last game, the very last session of a campaign that has spanned 3 years and 8 months. And stars, when all is said and done, 2 brilliant characters. Elluen Lancaster, the wizard, the mystic, and Danae Elluen, the paladin, and sometime rogue, and sometime warrior. And through those 3 years and 8 months in our world, we've explored, let me think, some 5 or 6 years with these characters. And during those 5 or 6 years, wondrous feats have been enacted, great evils have been destroyed, and most recently, a terrible catastrophe has been averted. Thanks to these 2 heroes, epic heroes, whose stories will be told across Aeon and will reach through the Isles of Lancaster across to the continent of Horizon. And of course, as I said, where we leave these characters, they are still, relatively speaking, young, new to the world of adventure. So who knows where else we will meet them down the road, and what other wild adventures they will get up to. So this session is our final chance to see them off. And we won't rush it, for there is much to be done still. And so, last we left off, returned from over 1400 years ago into the past, you arrived to a continent that has been subtly but inexorably altered by your actions, by your meddlings, by your careful strategy in the past. The ravages of truly ancient magic from the age of dreams has been averted. An early manifestation of a very primal form of necromancy threatened to wipe out all of Aeon, and who knows, maybe in time, all of Wonder. But it was averted. An evil goddess's line into the prime material plane, and this single use of a now dead and forbidden magic was averted, but not destroyed, for that moat of ancient magic still remains, transformed into a black pebble. And that black pebble is sealed away right now as we speak in a demi-plane mansion accessible by only one person in the world, Elluen Lancaster. Deep within the mansion, in a safe, in a small coffer, lies this perilous power. Aeon was still ravaged by war and destruction. Your passing from the distant past, in its wake, was followed with massive destruction on a city-destroying scale that left within the centre of the continent a crater. An enormous crater formed by a mind-boggling explosion of radiance, as the mythal that was sought to be erected to protect an ancient dwarven city was, in fact, the source of its destruction. And the artifact created by these two races that worked in harmony in the past to try and hold back the forces of the negative plane was effectively destroyed. Not completely, though. The very root of the mighty tree Euryshnir, fell and fell and fell deep into the basin, into the mine that had originally opened the rift between planes. It fell and found its final resting place right within the rift. Not only that, but buried under tons and tons, tens of thousands of tons of rubble and rock, a destroyed city, and bones. The area would, over the ensuing centuries, become a ravaged, dark and evil place. But at least ravaged by a darkness and an evil that is known, that is something you can work with, that isn't all destroying the way Enovancy is. At least it is better the devil you know than the one you don't. Tarayon, the great basin of blackness, became a place where evil and demons and undead take root, take refuge. The darker creatures and abhorrent beings of the world of wonder find a nice, hooked place to live and to breed that would inspire adventurers for centuries. Overlooking that crater is the mighty shard-like tower of Trevelyan's refuge, one of the magisters, one of the former magisters, because on your return, and in fact soon after your departure, little did you know that the endeavour to cast this also ancient magic to catapult you through times went badly wrong. The components of this spell required spheres of annihilation, black holes in time and space that destroy everything in their path. And with three of them converged, a mighty catastrophe also occurred that destroyed Nevermelt, creating a new ruin that would attract adventurers for years to come, but that's another story. From that wreck and ruin, your sister managed to escape. And as we rejoin you in a changed Aeon that has experienced war, settlement, ravaged by evils, but saved ultimately, we rejoin you far to the south of Aeon, not too far, several, maybe 30, 40, 50 miles from Kurth City. There is a old monastery called the Sanctum Assyrium, and it's here that we rejoin you now with your sister, with your foster parents, with your adoptive
thing
niece Ellie, here in this monastery, old by human terms but certainly new to the rest of the continent. It is a fresh new day. You have taken a long rest. You have made your plans. You have bid farewell to Nimblefoot. You have retrieved great weapons, legendary items from Edgehome, the most southern dwarven stronghold. And now you set your sights to the future. There is still so much that is unknown. There is so much that you could do, that maybe you will do. And if I can remind myself, over the ensuing moons that pass, you decide that a great cathedral should be erected in Palladius's name, and that the perfect site is on top of the false temple to Lavanda, on the nearby island to your home isle, Vista Isle, on Lake Vista. You wish to create something soaring and majestic, something wondrous. And Elluen contacts an old friend, old ally, Keldudra. Now the ruling archmage of Ao, the central peninsular city of Acrayon, of the First Elves. The First Elves still live, although their numbers are vastly reduced. They are like an endangered species here, not just in Aeon, but in the world. And some measure of their life has been preserved in this mountaintop city at the centre of a vast, sprawling forest region at the centre of the continent. And so Elluen has expressed a desire to travel to Acrayon and to the main city at the heart of it, protected as it now is from outside influence by a mighty mythal. So it's several moons since you got back. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing in that time. And let's start to flesh out the future of your characters.
Okay, so would have gotten my adopted parents and Ellie settled in the new mansion, as they said they wanted to move there, so do that. Give Ellie her own room, decorate it all nice. I'd probably, well, there's just a few little trips I'd like to go on. First, I would like to go and try and find Vex Olympus with my ring.
Alright, well let's handle that one first.
Okay.
So, we're going to say that 6 months passes since your return. And in those 6 months, and with the gold that was perfectly created with your wish spell, the mansion turns into something of a small hamlet with an acceptable amount of nearby forest cleared, not to damage the overall ecosystem, and surrounding the manor house are some other smaller dwellings taken up by maids and servants, loggers, farmers, and a small farmstead nearby is erected. These new cottages in keeping with the overall aesthetic of Vista and the island itself. And it attracts, roll D100.
34.
34 families
Oh.
to this hamlet. This is your hamlet that you literally lord over. And Yannick and Gierik of Vista partner with you. Deals are done. agreements are met, and your legend is a great attractor to the island. What do you call your hamlet?
Oh no! Okay, hang on. Oh no! Wait, let me think.
You don't have to make the decision on the spot.
I'll think about it.
But think about what you would call this hamlet. A more firm thoroughfare, roadway is built from Vista to your new hamlet. You have, like I said, livestock, a few small grain fields, a small smithy is started up, and the such like of this new hamlet that, who knows, perhaps in future other adventurers will arrive here. With the passing of another few moons, up to 8 moons since your arrival back, a few brewers come to town. Not from Vista, but from far afield to request tenancy here in your hamlet and the brewing of the finest ales and liquors for any of the locals and any arriving travellers. So this spans some 8-9 months, we'll say, during that time. And during that time, you seek Vexillanthus, your copper dragon friend. Now remind me of the ring. Does it allow communication, or simply you have an awareness of where?
It kind of like, I think it calls him to me, or I become aware of his location or something like that.
Okay, we'll say that you become aware of his location. Such that, let me pull up the map here. During this 9 months, do you think you would be with Danae, or would you be doing your own thing?
Well, before the end of the year I have to visit Ao, so...
Okay, so some of this time you're at the hamlet?
Designing your new study underneath the house.
Yeah. I'll make a full underground
laboratory.
Okay, yeah.
You're gonna blow up the house.
As you attune to the ring and unattuned from something else.
No, I attuned to it when
Okay, excellent. Okay.
I gave them.
As you attune to it, your sense of your old friend's location is far away. Far to the north. Further even than Nevermelt. Into the icy wastes that depict the very furthest northernmost aspects of Aeon. And you're aware, you go to the map, taking up almost an entire wall in one of the manor rooms for strategy and for warcraft and for all things military and combative. And as you walk to the map, you get the sense that at the very northernmost tip of Aeon there is a huge cluster of mountain ranges. The area is known as Zana. And further north from Zana there is a city called Xanadar. Your old friend Zanlin spoke of this city. It is ancient beyond measure, and it is the main civilization base for Gnomish culture in Aeon. And you have the feeling that somewhere around there your friend resides.
Oh yeah.
What is your intentions? Do you want to do anything with that?
I'm wary of the situation with the dragon masks that Sterling spoke of. So I kind of, I mean, I didn't get to bring the white dragon mask back with me, right? We came back completely naked, right? From time.
That's right.
It's in the mansion. It should be.
It's in the Magnificent Mansion. Right. Okay. So yeah, well, what I really want to do is kind of warn Vexy about that, and talk about like who should look after the masks that we have and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe Alan can help me with the journey like halfway there or something, because I can't send
I could
him.
just like teleport her, or we could just sending Vexy.
Yeah. Sending's Vexy.
Okay, you send Vexy. What do you say to your friend?
Hi, Vexy. Long time no speak. There is a situation with the dragon masks that Danae wishes to discuss with you. Do you still have the red one? How many have I got? How many was it?
That's like you're on like 15 almost.
Let's. Can you arrange to meet anytime
You got 5 more.
soon? Wait, hang on, that's way too many. Let's stop at any time.
That'll do.
Yeah.
We get the idea. Okay, you hear back. My friends. I'm pleased to hear of your safe return. I have fled far to the north, for great and evil forces are at work that would have the mask, that would claim the mask. I am hunted, but relatively safe, thanks to our gnomish friends. That's all you get.
Send them along.
I think we should make like a. I think we should like collect all the masks and like keep them in the
Hang
in the
on.
temple.
We are in possession of another dragon mask. Would you like to discuss who should look after it? As I trust you already with the red one.
The most important one.
I'm not sure you should trust me with it. Such a thing is beyond my ability to control. And I wish I had never accepted it. I do what I must.
Okay, send another one.
Alright,
Would you like us to take it back? We can arrange that.
It is safe for now.
Okay.
The gnome artificers are ingenious with their methods of protection.
Okay. So I think really maybe. Hang on. First of all, can we check if it even made it through time in the mansion? Do we have
What
to
made
do
it
that?
through time?
The mask.
Sure. Well, at some point we're filling in
Yeah.
things that happen in this 9 months. So during that time, do you go into the Magnificent
yeah,
Mansion?
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you do.
Don't go in that study, Elluen.
I can go in it.
No.
Do you want to go in it?
No, we literally told you never go in that study.
Why me? Why is it a big deal now? That was before we went back in time. It's not.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nothing wrong.
You're right.
Alright, let's check if everything's still there.
Well, we didn't put the dragon mask in that study specifically. We just put it in one of the rooms in there.
The Dragon Mask is still in the mansion.
Okay.
Alright, good.
We should probably just leave it here. Because no one else can get in here.
That's way too simple. It can't
How
just-
is there a thing about how the mansion can hold items?
I'm not sure. I'm going to look it up. It's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't think that. Now that I think about it, I don't think that it. Can.
No, don't.
Well, let's read. We'll
I
find
don't
out.
want to. I don't want to burst anyone's bubbles, but I think it says anything that after the 24 hours has passed will be expelled from the mansion where it was
No!
Well, that would be good to know.
No! What about the stone?
Okay.
Dude! We really should have checked this before. Why can't your frogs just hold
Right,
on?
we're going to look it up together. We're going to read it together.
Okay.
The full description of it from the player's handbook. Here it comes. Faithful Hand, magnificent mansion. You conjure an extra-dimensional dwelling in range that lasts for the duration. You choose where its one entrance is located. The entrance shimmers faintly, 5 feet wide, 10 feet tall. You and any creatures you designate when you cast the spell can enter the extra-dimensional dwelling as long as the portal remains open. You can open or close the portal if you are within 30 feet of it. While closed, the portal is invisible. Beyond the portal is a magnificent foyer with numerous chambers beyond. The atmosphere is clean, fresh and warm. You can create any floor plan you like, but the space can't exceed 50 cubes, each cube being 10 feet on each side. So it's big. The place is furnished and decorated as you choose. It contains sufficient food to serve a 9-course banquet for up to 100 people.
Whoa.
A staff of 100 near-transparent servants attend all who enter. You decide the visual appearance of these servants, and they are completely obedient to your orders. Each servant can perform any task a normal human servant can perform, but they can't attack or take any actions that directly harm another creature. Thus, the servants can fetch things, clean, mend, fold clothes, light fires, serve food, pour wine, and so on. The servants can go anywhere in the mansion but can't leave it.
Oh.
Furnishings and other objects created by this spell dissipate into smoke if removed from the mansion. When the spell ends, any creatures or objects left inside the extra-dimensional space are expelled into the open spaces nearest to the entrance. Now I'm going to ask you, where were you? Where were you?
In the hallowed grounds.
On the hallowed ground. How did you not see that? Fuck.
Summerdost. Fort Summerdost has been built, and somewhere underneath the foundation,
Oh my god!
deep within the earth, is a stone. And that stone is the embodiment of the Scourge spell.
Hang on a minute. I don't think we would have put anything in the mansion if we were to.
You said you did.
It's fine, it's fine.
Um,
We should have put it in the chest.
Alright. Yeah, I know. That's
Okay, it's okay, it's okay.
okay.
It's been there for ages.
Yeah, the white dragon mask is, at the bottom of the.
Oh, the dragon mask as well.
I
Ah.
could just get them back. Like,
Wait, so is the dragon mask also under the city?
It's a flip of the coin, I think.
Okay.
Well, roll d6 for me. On a 1 to 3, somebody found it.
Oh my god, please no. Ah! Someone
Okay.
found it.
You don't know where it is.
Oh no!
how about over a month, I will use wish to the best of my ability to return the objects.
Well, first you need to locate it.
I can say I want it. It just comes back.
That's a very powerful wish you're trying to
Yeah, you
cast.
have to be careful, dude.
Why?
I don't know, look after your wishingness.
Don't
Make a very high DC Arcana check, please.
22.
Okay, fine. The first few months you don't figure this out, and again, later, 6 months later.
23.
Okay. In which case it takes you near the end of the 9 months that you're here to study and realise that the manner in which the stone was going to be triggered required a command word.
Yeah.
And with that, it's not like a physical crushing of the stone, it's a command word.
Because, like, it could literally just have been crushed and under the ground and it just releases Scourge.
It could be like a pavement tile somewhere. That all it needs is just a word.
Dude, but could you imagine if it just got crushed?
That wouldn't do anything. If it was crushed on its own, that nothing would happen.
It needs the word. I know, that's terrifying. I can't believe... Yeah.
It's just a cement mix.
I want you both to make... You may not get this campaign. And if so, it will just be something that will be our secret and nobody else will ever know this.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Insight checks, please.
If
you want to use
Insight,
portent, roll your portent.
Okay.
I think you should portent my check. I've got high insight.
I've got a number in mind for the DC of this
You
insight.
portent mine.
Okay, you portent to 19.
Okay. That's 30.
You use that?
Yeah.
Okay.
She couldn't really get any higher.
I'd like you to roll history.
26.
26 history and 30 insight. Okay. 7, 8 months go by from your return. Your hamlet grows. You continue your work at your tower, whilst every day teleporting to the mansion to inscribe what will become a teleportation circle.
And garden wards.
Yeah,
Garden
between the two locations. You create another Nilu, who is able to here and there use their spell slots to do the same in your absence. Simulacrum cannot regain slots with any rest, so you begin this pattern of creating a simulacrum to commence when you are off doing various things. As the 9 months since your return comes to be, you have taken many journeys to Stoneview, Elluen, in Kurth City, and the great libraries there. No longer do you need to petition the front desk for books you would like to access to. You are granted access as a hero of the realm. And the library at Stoneview is still nothing, not a patch on Nevermelt, but it still contains some ancient tomes. And you're able to revisit history as it changed as a result of your actions. Now, one thing that did happen and went unchanged, if you recall from the last game, was your ancestor, Eldor Ashtai. Eldor still was able to steal a shard of Eurishnik, and with it power his machines. He also found something else. Eldor Ashtai also found, as a powerful, powerful wizard, you remember, he would use wish with impunity to the extent that it maddened him. And he found a powerful item, a single black pebble on an old hill, hallowed in the area that is Selenef, that would become part of the Free Republic of Kurth. And with it, he stole away to Lancaster Isle and to the ancient city of Lancaster. And there, and it maddened him further, this is before he built Shah, in possession of the pebble and in possession of the part of Eurishnik, he did legend lore, he did contact other plane, he petitioned great entities to tell him the nature of the stone, and he wrote down everything that came to him in his maddened times. Eldor also got a crazy vision those 600-700 years ago of a white-haired ancestor of his. It made little meaning to the insane wizard. But outside the city, nevertheless, he built an obelisk as a warning. And within the obelisk, he etched the words that had come to him from the legend lore. In the hopes that it would warn this white-haired ancestor of his that he saw in visions. You, Elluen. He was seeing you and he did not know it. He was obsessed, crazed by these visions and by these words. These words he heard so clear. And if you'll give me a second, I'll read them to you.
Bruh, what is...
Oh my god, I remember
that.
it. I'm trying to find it.
The words he heard in his conversations with the entities was, fear the night. When the Forsaken One seizes death's mantle, and the seas dry up and the dead rise, and I, Dalek the Eternal, reap the world of life force. Those who deign
Is it my writing?
something, take heed.
Oh, is it?
And as you sit in the vast library of Stoneview, a chill takes over your entire body as you realise that the pebble ensconced within the obelisk outside the city contains the potential for the Scourge spell. And your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, in a warning of some crazed vision, created this obelisk of stone, and within it put the pebble, the black pebble, the Scourge spell potential within it. Now over centuries, this stone that contained this ravaging magic, even without a command word, still began to leach out some of the Enervancy within. Not to a catastrophic level, but to a level that, were you to get within 30 feet of it, you would sense its dark potential. It seems that things do have a way of coming full circle. And the Scourge Stone is right there within the obelisk, outside the ruined city of your ancestors.
What a plot twist.
Oh.
It was Eldor that wrote those words, though he knew not what they meant.
I thought it was just a piece of your original.
We took it at one point. We took it out of the obelisk and then we put it back.
We literally had it. Had it in the bag of holding stuff.
We never did get into that building, you know, because it says those who dare enter take heed.
What's in there?
We don't know.
I mean, there's never been a better time to find out.
So,
But the dragon mask.
the day comes when Elluen returns to the new hamlet called
I have not thought of a name yet.
something that
The new
Onorville.
No.
Onorville. I think that's quite cool. Danae Elluen.
Oh my god. No.
Davlin.
Davlin's
Davlin's a great
Davlin.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah? What a great name.
Well, I mean,
The Hamlet of Davlin.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
You're welcome.
It was my old last name.
The day comes when Elluen apparates into Davlin and shares this insight with you. And you realise that you do know the location of the stone. Fritz, you've seen it before.
We held it before. We should probably go and get it.
Yeah, we should probably go get it. Let's go get it.
Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The day comes when you go to your island of your ancestors, arriving within the thick jungle and humid heat of the ancient stony ruins. As you arrive, the spirits that guard this ancient city bow to you. Elluen Lancaster, Elluen Ashtai, in the ancient tongue. These spirits guard beyond death this whole city and keep back with immense power anything that would look to encroach on their ruins. It is only the bravest adventurers that would even attempt to come here.
Didn't I set these guys free at some
I
point?
did.
Oh yeah,
You did set them free, and yet they remain out of a loyalty to the everything that the Ashtai family stands for. You approach the Black Obelisk once again, almost a year after you left it. There it stands. And as you approach, you feel that encroachment of Anavantic force as you see those glyphs and the ancient tongue written within them and the warning that comes with them. A warning interpreted by an insane man, now dead.
Grab it.
I'll take it.
Okay, it smashes the entire world.
Stop!
Okay. The stone with a little bit of moulding is retrieved from the black marble volcanic rock.
Just break it, and without the command word, we don't know if...
I really don't want to risk that.
You take some damage and it does hurt you, but nothing that
Yeah.
requires much in the way of keeping track of it.
Stick it in the chest.
I think we need something that like contains it, like something anti-magic, maybe.
I've got a few ideas.
Because it's not as strong. I feel like maybe it could be suppressed by anti-magic. Like I wish we could just like make a box.
I could come up with something.
You could attempt a high magic dispel magic using your high magic ability.
Of course.
Ooh, good idea.
But do we want to dispel it?
Yes, we do. When are we ever going to use Scourge? It's literally radiating Enomancy. We want to dispel it.
Doesn't Scourge like just completely flip something? Can't it do something evil into good?
Well, we don't really know that much about it.
I think it's best we leave it to research.
Well, okay, so we need like a box that will contain the magic.
I've got a few years.
Do you think maybe you could build something with your mark?
Of course I could.
With your dragon?
That's what I'm thinking. If we have the...
Well, first of all, let's take it away from here.
Yeah. Can't we just, like...
Where would you like to take it?
Just put it in the rod of security.
Put in the rod of security?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know if it's the same deal with them.
I don't think it is.
It can contain objects? Hang on. Let's
It's,
see. I don't know if it's in
I've
here.
got it in my inventory.
I'll have a look at it. I don't know why it would be in here.
The thing with Secret Chest is after 60 days, there is a cumulative 5% chance per day that the spell's effect ends.
I'm aware of
Well, rod of security we're talking about.
that. Which can...
You both know with your power and might that to try and contain it in some demi-plane for any significant length of time is not gonna go.
You know what I really want to get? I want to get that anti-magic gem that we found in Shark. So bad.
Yeah. I could just cast the spell Demi-Plane and just concentrate on it until it
Well, he
becomes...
just said containing in a demi-plane is not a lot.
Yeah, but Demi-Plane just like, it's permanent, isn't it? I don't know, I can't remember. Yeah, we could just get the anti-magic gem and just make it like a super contained box and put it somewhere.
Because I could get the anti-magic one and I've worked on Eurishnik, but this isn't Eurishnik, it's just...
What if worked on Eurishnik?
No,
Because
we already went through that.
I was in Lehman's Tiny Heart and completely fine in the fields.
No, but it couldn't, like, yeah.
Arcana check, please.
20.
Okay. There are planes of existence where Enovancy wouldn't have the same destructive.
Yeah,
and it's
like
one that you were in, relatively speaking, not that long ago.
the Celestial Plane?
The negative.
Oh, negative.
Oh.
What about the Plane of Fire? There's no... It can't sap life force if it's just flames.
You can use more time to try and research
Yeah.
things.
Well, you gotta go, don't you?
No, I've technically already been right now.
Is this after? Well,
Because I was supposed to do it in the same, like, I was going to do it just after last game, but you were...
Yeah, you haven't done it yet. Okay. So, let's do roll portent first, in case you want to use this for any of the rolls.
Okay.
Now roll for Arcana.
17, which is plus 12, which is 29.
29. With a 29 and several months more study and consideration and conversation with entities whose identity you don't know, you recognise that through some divine trick, through some rule breaking, it was only that enabled the goddess, who herself should not have known of Enovancy, to get it into the hands of somebody on the prime material plane. If there was a way you could petition a higher being, if there was a way that you could petition a higher being, there might be a possibility of its removal from the plane.
You just use
A
divine.
being higher than a god.
Could just.
Okay. I'll do a divine intervention.
Go ahead.
Could just get lucky with the Will of Many Worlds.
But what did Palladius say? She said she wouldn't be able to. She wouldn't be able to appear to me for. Yeah. No.
Okay. We'll roll to see how many days pass.
No. Wait, what am I rolling for? Like.
You need to roll your.
32 or less. Three days pass.
No.
4 days. 5
Nope.
days.
No, I have to have. No, you're right.
6 days. Day 7.
No.
Day 8.
No. Palladius!
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On day 9, after Elluen speaks to you, you well describe how you petition Palladius.
I'll go to I'll do my usual ritual.
What, in the house, or do you go, or on the grounds of the cathedral that you are commencing?
Yeah. I'll go to the cathedral.
Right. There on the neighbouring island that is nameless, perhaps you will endeavour to name the island itself, that will house this enormous, sweeping, soaring cathedral, this structure to your goddess. And there one day as you pray for her wisdom, her insight, knowing only what Elluen has told you, that it would take a being more powerful than a god to do anything about this in a permanent basis. Based upon that, how does your divine intervention come to be, and what, if you are looking to communicate with her, do you say?
Well, I'll sit down, clutch my amulet. I'll say, Palladius, I need your help. Please, if you could guide me. I need to dispose of the stone of scourge. And I know that it cannot be done by just one deity, but I wonder if there would be a way that we could petition for it to be removed. Any guidance I would much appreciate.
Okay. Make a religion check.
16.
Okay. How does Palladius answer your?
Well, I can't decide that.
Yeah. How do you think it? I'll say what she says, but how do you think she appears to you, if at all?
The blindfold comes out.
You put it on?
Yeah.
Okay. You put on the blindfold and you implore your deity to talk to you, to answer you. And the answer comes in a vision. You see your goddess herself kneeling. And much as you do now, she prays to something higher than herself. The vision you get is of you atop you standing on the edge of a vast black crater. And in this vision, you and Elluen offer up the stone into the vast expanse in front of you, at the very site that it would have been used. mirroring you in her vastness and suspended in brilliant blinding light over the vast expanse of the canyon, the crater. Your goddess takes a similar offering position. This is all a vision. And high in the sky, spanning hundreds of miles, the clouds become blinding, and a beauty and a divinity that makes minuscule Palladius is exacts justice, but also punishes for the meddling. And as you come out of this vision, tears stream from your face. And you know that for this to occur safely, a great sacrifice must be exacted upon your deity. Great sacrifice, of which your tiny brain cannot contemplate. But in that vision as well, it is done. And this thing that eats away at you, this task of ridding the world of this ancient scourge once and for all, is swept aside in the blink of an eye by this most mighty of divine entities. And with the same distracted click, a great punishment is exacted upon your goddess that brings with it a great melancholy, but with it a sense of, you realise this is coming from Palladius, a calm acceptance as well. You come out of your vision, touching the firm ground, looking at the beginnings of the foundations being laid for this cathedral, and you know that that vision is an instruction. Alright, let's move for a moment. So 9 months, 10 months, 11 months come and go with all of this research and all of this worry about what to do with the stone. In the meantime, where is it kept? Just in the meantime.
Well, I don't think it should be kept in the hamlet.
For instance, you can just keep it in a bag of holding if you so choose.
Yeah, okay.
It is at least in a demi-plane in
bag
that
of
way.
holding, and let's put the bag of holding
In a bag of holding.
Yeah, we'll just put it in your basement. I mean, my basement.
No, we're not putting it in.
Is there anywhere you would choose to secure it?
Your tower's got guards on walls.
Actually, no.
Guards on walls.
We could try the the dead magic zone near Gormley.
What, just leave it there?
No, we could set
No,
up.
because that will counteract the bag of holding.
I'm trying to think of.
It's not an anti-magic zone.
Yeah, I know.
It's
That's
just a dead magic.
Okay,
yeah,
that's different.
You're right.
I'm aware. Yeah, let's just leave it in my study, I guess, in a bag of holding. There's no.
What does guards on walls do again?
It's just like traps, magic traps.
Okay.
No.
But I'm underselling it.
Yeah, it's very cool. It just.
Didn't we have people take refuge there at one point because it had guards and wards?
Yeah.
Just no one could come in that I don't want.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
Or I can specify who I don't want to come in. Probably better.
So you keep it in your tower. Is that what you said?
In Davlin actually, I'd rather have it.
What?
There.
But it doesn't have guards and warders.
It does. That,
The
Why
year
would you
isn't
keep
done
it?
yet. Where do you keep it?
Can we not keep it around where people are
In
living?
the tower.
Yeah.
In your possession or in the actual tower?
No, I'll leave it in the clone room where I was cloned.
Okay. All right. During all of this, you have also, we'll say, roll d6.
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay. That is how many more times during those long months you create magical gold
100k.
permanently, such that you have 100,000 gold. Most of which is required to even begin work on this cathedral.
Yeah.
I'm ruining the economy with this.
So that during these 9-10 months, the finest stonemasons and architects are brought in from across Aeon. In fact, a great architect from Vale in Avalonia journeys to you. His name is Reeves, and he is a halfling who helped design some of the newer buttresses of the great Cathedral of Avalonia that stands in the centre of Vale. To start some of the design work with you.
Cool.
During this time, you are also able to pay in advance the stonemasons just to lay the foundations. This thing will take decades.
I need some good painters because, you know, the ceiling in Italy.
Yeah.
I want it to kind of look like that.
Okay. This
With
will
Jesus.
take decades to make, just so you know.
Yeah.
Decades.
I know.
At best. And I'm going to assume you don't want to make it with magical aid,
No.
in fear that that could one day be dispelled.
Yeah.
Or,
Also, I think it holds a lot more. I don't know if it's just done hand
all
by
right.
hand.
Okay, great.
Oh, I could finish it so fast.
All right. That also is the building of the hamlet, the expansion of the hamlet, the building of the nearby cathedral, and a bridge to run between the two islands commences work. Vista Isle is well known and well named. Do you have a name for the nearby neighbouring island?
No.
Okay, fine. Something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, we turn to Elluen, who during this time obviously has done a lot of research, but that's not all you've occupied your time with.
That's normal.
What else would you like to do?
Okay, before the end of the year, end of the previous year, I guess, technically. Before the end of that year, I'm gonna try and learn a teleportation circle in Aeon.
Yes, plenty of backwards and forwards communication with Keldudra. He is able to give you a teleportation circle, not into Ao, but into what would you call it? A temple of receiving outside of the mythal. Nobody can teleport into the area of a crayon named Ao at all. Not without special allowance. But you are given nearby refuge in order to do that. Do you wish to journey there?
Well, I'm teleporting into Crayon.
Yeah.
Crayon.
You want to do that?
Yes. I will.
Alright. The day arrives when You going alone?
I mean, do you want to come with me? You can't really get into the Mythal.
I think I'm kind of busy.
You could go to a crayon. You could go shopping.
I wish. Maybe one
Shopping
day.
for some crayons. In a crayon. Anyway. Yeah.
You go alone?
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh, no,
You
I'm gonna
journey
look so out of
alone.
place.
What's that?
I'm gonna look so out of place. Hey, I
You
saved
journey
you.
to... I've just got to pull up the map again. Hang on a sec. There's little things here. The nearest place you can teleport to is a Creador. Now, a Creador is some 130, 140 miles southwest of Aya. But it is here that you are bid to teleport. It is a wondrous meeting places of wood elves and first elves. A city built with the alignment of both these types of elves. And when you arrive within this wonderful pearlescent city set within the thick forest of a crayon, you know that you have entered a wondrous and new place. As with a flash, you find yourself in a mighty arcane chamber. The closest you've seen like this is when you were in Eliodor, the place with the two queens. You recall that? Where it's almost like everything is built in a mixture of like, everything looks like pearlescent mollusk shells, but also trees, tree-like. So there's this weird pearlescent roots that come forward to create these alien structures. But you find yourself there. Your arrival has been expected, and wood elves approach and converse with you in the elven tongue that you know. And a ship.
No.
Come very low. You got the glasses.
That doesn't allow him to speak it. And a wondrous ship, a wondrous spelljammer, is docked in one of the soaring towers out of the treetops, with this open shell-like landing base, and from it comes this odd-looking beast of a ship, elegant, alien. But of course you have your memories back now, so you understand the nature of spelljammers, you understand the nature of all of this, and you get on board this completely arcane-fueled vehicle, and you shoot off across the tops of the forests at an insane speed.
Funny, we had one of these.
Beneath you, the hundreds of miles of forest shoot by, and as they do, hang on 2 seconds, just going to get another book.
I feel like we've been scammed.
Why?
I don't want to say Zanlin built a slow ship, but he totally built
Do
one.
not slander Zanlin's name. Zanlin is amazing.
As you shoot across the forest at a dizzying speed, unlike anything you've experienced before, towards the very centre of a crayon. In the distance at first, and then closer and closer, you see across the forest a great mountain at the top of which, blinded by the light of the rising sun that shoots through the buildings, you see this wondrous, alien, soaring cityscape atop a mountain that protrudes from the clouds. The low hanging clouds, this mountain alone amidst the green, verdant forest that stretches to all horizons. You have seen this at a distance before, and you see this in weird scrying visions, but now to see it with your own eyes for the first time as you get closer and closer to this structure, you see something that thousands of years before had been a beacon of the relationship between the dwarves and the elves. This city carved, not built, carved out of the mountain in a wondrous unity of arcane skill and physical workmanship by the dwarves. This amazing city comes into being, and as you fly into it, the huge towers, everything carved in one piece. There are no seams in the rock. There are no placed blocks. Everything about this city has been etched from the single mountain itself into dizzying spirals of towers and amassed mollusk-like buildings. And as you fly through them, silently propelled by this wondrous ship, you see, and even in your reserved calmness, you feel the moistness in your eyes at the beauty of this city, this ancient city. And after not too long, on one of the highest pinnacles of this city, your vehicle comes to dock. Your arcane fueled vehicle comes to dock. You are led onto a vast platform. The vertigo hits you as you step off the vehicle onto this open platform with no railings or rail, gilded in gold and guarded by tall alien-looking first elves with pale skin, pale as yours, but perfectly ornate golden armour that shines in the sunlight. And from between them and out of a large, arched, beautifully organically arched doorway, steps in scintillating robes of amassed colours of across the entire spectrum, the tall, ancient figure of Keldudra. If a first elf could smile and it be recognisable, Keldudra smiles as he walks towards you, almost gliding, his arms out like this. It is not a familiar thing for first elves to hug or embrace, preferring the distance of the cerebral communications. Yet you go forward, put your arms around Keldudra. He hesitatingly reciprocates the hug. I have had time to learn your language, and I welcome you here to Ao, the first city of this continent.
It's very majestic.
It is, yet it is really a relic. The forces, the demonic forces, the abyssal and infernal forces, they are only kept at bay by the mythal. The forest is as deadly a place as it is beautiful, for everybody wants the spoils of this city. Come, Elluen. Let us talk.
Okay.
You are like a distant dream as you turn to walk into the vast, sprawling rooms, these organic, cornerless antechambers with pearlescent walls and gold inlays and vast floors, polished so highly that sometimes you feel as if you are walking on a mirror. And as you enter the chambers and negotiate winding, organic feeling corridors, you are reminded very much of the architecture of Luther's lair to a certain extent. But this is all of that made beautiful, made alive. And you come finally to a type of room for consideration, for reflection. You come into a room where multiple permanent fairy fires and dancing lights circulate in an almost kaleidoscopic room of wonder. And you are bid to sit on these reclining seats that move as you sit upon them to perfectly cushion your body. It has been so long since I've seen you. So long.
Well, I saw you about 3 moons ago. Maybe slightly more.
Yet for me, it is like an entire age has passed. And it is now, in this moment, that I realise the truth in everything you said. What would you talk about? What would you discuss? What can we learn?
How goes things? What has happened during this time?
A terrible war ravaged the continent, as you are no doubt aware. High magics have been developed that otherwise would have died, that I can show you. The first elves dwindle. We are but maybe 1,000 left.
At least that's more than what would have become of them.
Yes. More than would have become. Relpatha chose lichdom and has diminished to some far corner of the multiverse. It is I who is Grand Arcanor. Yet I am compelled to remain within the bubble of this city, like a museum artifact. For there are many who would plunder our secrets. What would you know of me?
What happened after the incident at Tenday?
Great catastrophe. Great catastrophe. Followed by war. We were called betrayers. We were called terrible betrayers. But we had to erect the Mythil. We had to create the Dead Woods, just to protect ourselves from the combined forces of the Dwarven armies. After that, study, my friend, great study has undertaken. I have had centuries to study magics that otherwise would have been destroyed, always with your words in my mind, that we otherwise would have died and diminished to nothing.
What kind of magics have you studied?
Again, their noseless face and lipless mouth smiles. I will show you. And with that begins some fast time of, well, how long do you wish to remain in the crayon?
I mean, how long am I allowed to stay here for?
We could say that a year passes. How would that feel?
Well, I have to get back to back to the town.
Oh, so that's DM speaking. You could say a year passes if you'd like to do a year study with him.
There's no rush, by the way.
Well, no,
He's thinking guards, awards, and teleportation.
Oh, right.
We can say that you manage that. With some effort, you manage that.
Okay.
Yeah? You only need to do that for a further 2 months before it is complete.
You just teleport back there every day.
Not every day, because you create simulacrum and you use your greater contingency spell that he taught you, such that if a simulacrum dies, a new one is made.
Oh, that's cool.
And that is the trigger for it. It takes a little working out, and you have to get your mind around it, but you get to a point where if simulacrum ceases to exist or runs out of spells, a new one is instantly formed. You feel the magic drain from you when this happens, but you know that it is done, and all you need to do is do the greater contingency once more. And with that, would you like to spend a year in study? Good. Because there is much that a great wizard can learn in a year. This is like a montage sequence as a year of study with a 30th level wizard ensues. Your new master, your new friend, one of the first elves.
No, I was teaching you spells once.
You learn. Bear with me a second. You learn, firstly and most importantly, I'm going to lead with this, you learn a little of the last remaining chronomancy. Some of the sources that you found distant reference to at Nevermelt, you realise originated from Ao. And because they were saved, so too was the source. And you find, hang on a second, the High Magic Source Book. I just got to open a bunch of books here so I can give you some spells. Okay, the High Magic Source Book. And I just got to find the chronomancy one. Alright, let's start with some high magic that you learn. Firstly, you learn of Mythal, its true nature, and the creation of Mythalars. You learn. Let's start with some basics. Epic counterspell and epic dispel magic.
Whoa, what level are those?
We won't worry about levels just now because I've got to scroll through lots of pages. Just you learn those. You learn how Caldudra has stayed relatively vigorous by learning Eolaum's longevity.
How do you spell Eolaum?
I-O-U-L-A-U-M. Eolaum's longevity.
Wait, I-O-U what?
I-O-U-L-A-U-M. You also discover that here in Ao are stored 2 of the Nether Scrolls. And you managed to read one of them.
Oh, what is that?
just get to this. Sorry, it's a 44-page book I've got. You also learn high magic.
Is that a spell?
Yeah, well, no, it's a series of incantations similar to meta magic. So you are now officially a high mage.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
As you learn. Bear with me a second, please.
Yeah.
Just the other day we were in the tavern and you were like, did I hear troll?
It was more like, did I hear troll?
Yeah, chronomancy. Let me just find it. Is it called chronomancy? I can't even find it now. A little help here. Okay. Feeling quite frustrated because I can't find the thing that I've been referring to the whole time, the time magic thing. Do you have that? Did I give you that PDF?
No.
No?
But
You can't help me with that. Okay. Let me see if it's on my phone.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Okay, can't find it. And it's silent, so that's not good. You learn high magic, and we will go through the details of that.
Okay.
And you learn, it's not called modify memory. There is a spell that you know Sarir cast.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
did cast
you're
it.
with me, yeah, exactly. And it's part of that spell is part of the nature of Nevermelt.
Yeah.
And this spell requires 5 rubies, and with the 5 rubies cast with this spell, you can make a single thought or single idea or person be forgotten.
Yeah.
You learn that spell, and you learn, more importantly, the nature of the spell and how to cast it and how to destroy it. So with the rubies that the person who casts the spell has to be in possession of, with the breaking of each ruby, with the destruction of each ruby, the memory can be released.
We did do that with Saria.
Yeah, she's still on the council. Okay, that's great. That's
She
so
made
good.
everyone think she's actually good.
Okay.
So you learn that,
I'm the only person.
Yeah.
and you probably learn a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Much of other stuff.
Much of it.
Let me just go to the spell list here.
What is high magic?
High magic allows you to manipulate magic itself. So, for example, you can expand by using extra spell slots. You can expand spells. You can maintain spells for longer. You can stabilize spells. You can
So it's just NPC
sacrifice your own life energy to create spell slots. You can support another spellcaster. So there are things you can do to enhance spells that you cast. Since you probably in gameplay things won't use this much, if at all, in this campaign, don't worry about it. But you also... So, you learn precision targeting. Write that down. Which allows you to, for example, target creatures, alignment targeting, faction targeting of a spell, so that you can make a spell more precise in terms of what it does.
Isn't that a thing evocation wizards get? Or something like
I
that?
don't know, but it's something you've got. You learn high mage armor.
Ooh.
really don't need more armor class.
What? You can never have another armor class.
I've almost got as much as you.
No.
Just my base armor.
I should have to double check.
You are shown the Arcanus Fundare, the foundations of magic.
Oh my goodness.
Do you seek to study this nether scroll?
What is a nether scroll?
Well, you are shown that they have 2 of them. They are some 3,700 years old. And they are written in a First Elvish. They are the most ancient surviving record of arcane lore. Roll 2d4, please.
1 and 4. They're 5.
So, if you spend 9 weeks of that year studying this nether scroll, you will be studying the foundations of magic.
Okay, I'll do that.
See whether something happens to you if you do this. No, it doesn't seem to. Okay, great. You read Arcanus Fundare, this perfectly, again, it's like the inside of a mollusk shell, pearlescent, but silver. And it is kept under glass in a vacuum, but you study it for 9 weeks, interpreting its words. It is enormous, so it is like a rug in its scale.
Is it like the reading chamber in Skyrim in the Dwarven Ruins where you get the second black book?
There's a reading chamber.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
but you have to stand on it. It's like in the floor, and you get down and you have to study it, and it is written in tiny runes and glyphs across this rug-sized, hammered silver pearlescent sheet. It's beautiful.
That's so cool.
And it takes you 9 weeks to study it. Give me an Arcana check.
All that for a fail.
You fail.
Can I portent first? Can I roll my portents first?
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm good, thanks. Okay. Let me roll my Arcana check. 27.
27 will do it. Your Arcana proficiency is that you now have expertise in it. So you can add a further 6 to your Arcana check.
Oh, what? No.
Yeah, I finally win the best modifier. It was so easy. Plus 18 Arcana check.
Well,
Your understanding of magic has gone to a new level. Give me a general
what?
charisma check. This is to whether you get a gift from Keldudra.
Oh my god.
Oh.
16.
Nice. It was a 15 DC, so you are given a gift.
Oh.
I love Keldudra.
Yeah, he's my
We're
favourite.
besties.
Yeah, he's actually my best friend.
I ship him. I'm kidding. He's so old.
Well, technically so am I. First elf my age would be a child.
That's true.
You are given a lore gem,
Oh, what?
and it magically adheres to the forehead.
I think I've had this one.
This seems familiar, Calvin.
Get out my head, Calvin.
Get out of
I know
that.
that's you, Calvin. You can't trick me.
Lore gems can store a few hundred pages worth of knowledge, including up to 30 spells. They were once popular alternatives to bound spellbooks among elven wizards, as they are less easily damaged. When worn, they can serve as either a spellbook, a warlock's ritual book, and a spellcasting focus.
That's so
While information stored in the lore gem is being mentally accessed, it emits a faint glow.
That's badass.
I'm
The
so
wearer has advantage with intelligence skill checks related to their own memories. Additionally, any required material costs for copying spells into a lore gem are halved.
actually amazing.
So you can now, we can say over that year as well, if you want to copy 30 of your spells into the lore gem, you can do so.
I'll copy all the old ones, all the high magic
Dude,
ones.
you're slaying.
Great.
And I'll do all my signature spells and my high spells or whatever they call them.
Okay.
Hi.
So your lore gem is called a Telkira
Aww.
in the first elven
I love
tongue.
it.
A
Thanks,
Telkira.
Keldudra. You're my best.
Oh.
Okay, that's the extent. There are other spells that you learn, obviously, but we will get to such things, including some nice chronomancy ones.
Nice.
So, actually, do you know where I can go for it? I just realised I can go to Dungeon Masters Guild.
DM Guild.
Games Guild. Guild. There we are. I think it'll be here. Library.
You ripped another page.
No, what do you mean another one?
You did it yesterday.
No, well, that was my sketchbook.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I've just kind of...
Yay. Okay.
Why do you guys hate me for decorating my player's
You
handbook?
shouldn't. You should leave it how it is.
No, it's fine.
It's not fine.
It's so cool though.
This is so weird. Can't find the chronomancy thing. Right, hang on.
It's
High
alright.
Magic Source Book. Larlock's Vault. Vault of Magic. Eldritch Expansion. Oh, here we are. Time Traveller's Guide to Chronomancy.
Yeah.
Download, please.
Down.
Here we are. Great. So, these are some of the spells that you learn. Now that you are a chronomancer.
Now that you are indeed about.
You learn Reveal Path of Time.
Yo. You learn Modify Myth. That's what it's called.
Oh. Whoa.
And it's 7 rubies to cast this. It takes 7 days to cast this spell, and with every day, this spell is broken only once all rubies are destroyed, or by a wish spell. This spell does not erase. So you realise that Modify Myth via a high magic ritual in the past, Elluen, is what helped create Never Melt. Not the structure, but its form, whereby you give up something and the rest of the world forgets it too.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many rubies.
So with Modify Myth, it's a 9th level enchantment. Its range is unlimited. It takes 7 days to cast, and each ruby must be worth 5,000 gold. You perform an extensive ritual that deletes one person, idea, or concept from the mind of every creature in existence. Each day during casting, you enchant 1 ruby. When the 7th ruby is enchanted, the target is removed from the collective unconscious, besides yours and up to 3 other individuals. The spell is broken only once all rubies are destroyed or by a wish spell. This spell does not erase any physical evidence of the target, though the magic of the spell is hard to overcome willingly. If they are presented with obvious physical evidence, A creature may make a DC 25 ability check. And remember the lost content on a success. Each ruby that is destroyed decreases the DC by 2.
That's so
You
cool.
also learn reverse time.
I already know that one.
Oh, okay, great. You also then learn...
I already know.
I'm going to give you 2 more.
Yeah. Greater wish and
Deja vu. You learn deja vu.
Do
yo.
you get this?
7th level. 1 action, 30 feet range, instantaneous. When you cast this spell, a creature within range that you select must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or on their next turn must attempt to repeat their last turn as closely as possible. Creatures immune to the charm condition make the save with advantage. And the last one is... That's cool.
Can have a dragon.
This is totally for you. This is the most powerful divination spell to you, learning this. It's called Chronovoyance.
Oh.
Oh.
You create a magical sensor within range. The range is 100 miles.
Epic.
In a location familiar to you, a place you have visited or seen before, or in an obvious location that is unfamiliar to you, such as behind a door, around a corner, or in a grove of trees. The sensor remains in place for the duration and it can't be noticed, attacked, or otherwise interacted with. When you cast this spell, you choose a day in the past, up to 10 years for each of your character levels. So you could go up to 300 years in the past.
Whoa.
You can see and hear through the sensor as if you were in its space at the time you
so
selected.
Cool.
That is cool.
You perceive a full day's activities in 10 minutes, unless the spell ends early.
Dude.
Absolutely amazing.
Wait, what level is that? 9.
What level is that?
5th.
5th level.
Yeah. Cool though, right?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Um,
How is a 5th level spell stronger than some of mine?
I don't know. There are other spells you learn, but obviously I'll give you the things and you can decide upon it. There are many
Yes.
other and ancient spells you learn
Yes.
across this year of time.
I learned them on the last. year
During
of the
this
campaign.
year, during this, so we're now into at the end of this little bit, we'll be at the end of 2 years after your return.
So how old are we?
Well, don't worry about your age. I love that that's all you ever care
No,
about.
it's
Add
not.
2 to your age, 23
What?
and 25. Right.
I'm still 20, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Through that year, you see Elluen less than you have in the previous 6 or 7 years.
Sad.
You still see him maybe once or twice a moon, but for the most part you recognise that he is undergoing great arcane study in a crayon. And on those nights that he does return to Davlin, you have long evenings of storytelling and stuff you can't even understand of his achievements and learning. During this time as well, you are called upon to defend Ao. And whilst we won't carry out any combat for this instance, you and some of the first elven warriors and some of their battle mages as well help to stave off some of the demonic forces that, like in Infinity War, you know, the thing at the edge of the city and they're up against it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. That's like a mythal that covers, you know, the city. You do battle. During that year, this second year, while Elluen is studying, are you mainly focusing on the cathedral?
Cathedral, and I've named my island. The island.
What is it?
It's called the Isle of Celeste.
The Isle of
Yeah,
Celeste.
because that translates to the Isle of the Heavens.
Wonderful.
So, yeah,
The
and
Isle of
also in
Celeste.
the honour of Celeste.
That's wonderful. Okay. During this year, and with a little bit of begging for more money, you are able to lay the foundations for the cathedral, such that some forest is cleared, the corrupt false temple to Lathander is fully destroyed, removed, the deep excavation of those weird clone rooms takes place. The place where Soulhaven had counted as a base is fully excavated, purified.
Oh, I'm gonna cast Hallow.
And hallowed
Yeah.
by you during this time.
Hello.
Some of the greatest smiths, stonemasons are brought from far away. What do you want to make it out of?
I really don't know about building, but definitely platinum coloured thing. I want the theme to be very bright and very, I don't know.
How does white marble sound?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. For white marble, this is sourced from the Vidal dynasty and shipped hundreds of miles to the east as this deep white marble is laid as the foundations for this mighty cathedral. And a year of building. What else do you do during this year?
Well, first of all, for my Hallow effect, I would like courage, so nobody can be frightened within the premises. I'm casting a lot of Hallow, so it's a big area.
Yeah.
Hallow. Other than that, I want to go find Jake and get him to give his opinion on the cathedral.
The day comes when Jake answers them the letter that you sent him.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge, the kind of placeholder bridge from the mainland across to the Isle of Celeste. And you stand there amidst the vast foundations, the cornerstone in place to mark out placement of pillars and flying buttresses and the wide array of turns and curves that will make up this soaring monument to Palladius. And on this fresh day, galloping across the bridge, blonde hair glinting in the sunshine, smiling and shouting your name as he gallops towards you, comes Jake. Jumps off his horse before it's finally come to a stop and comes forward and embraces you.
It's been ages!
It's so good to
Where
see you.
Where have you been? I punch you on the shoulder.
Well,
sorry.
Well, I have been in penance. I have been in prayer. And I think what you are doing here, word of it has reached Kirthdeep, and I want to help.
Really? Well, that's great.
Of course.
I'd love that.
I have had years of adventuring. Now I wish to help in this magnificent project.
That would be very welcome. How's it been on the council?
The council is maintained.
Okay.
And the prince leads the council. Still there is talk of corruption within the ranks. But such things will be dealt with, I am sure, given time. But this will gather people across continents.
I hope so. I'd love your input on the design and, add your own little flair to anything you want to.
Of course. And thus begins, in montage sequence, months of where the foundation is being laid, where architectural plans are drawn up that will be continued long after this campaign ends.
In any free time also, I want to go to surrounding villages and do what I used to do. Go to any churches or any people in need and heal them. And I'll make Jake come with me.
Alright. The two of you travel for a long time, many months together, healing. One day word reaches you via a courier that the Witch Queen of Avalonia would like to see you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so you journey.
Yeah.
Without your friend to blink you here and there, you summon your Pegasus.
Hello.
And Jake summons his.
Yeah.
And the two of you begin a long journey that spans, I would say, realistically some 3 moons, some 3 months, where you head west down the southern coast of Aeon, across the rift, past the southern tip of Acraeon and the forests, into hotter, more humid lands. Along the way you battle beasts, save small communities from trouble, and embark on several small side quests before heading northwest, up. All this time missing your friend.
I hope he sendings me.
You stop in at the
I'm a
Shires.
new bestie.
You stop in at the Shires before reaching the southern lakes that mark Avalonia and up to Vale. This great city that dwarfs Kurth Deep and gives you great inspiration for the cathedral in terms of the soaring silver buildings and wondrous elven-inspired design, even though it is originally a human settlement that you recall when it was just a small timber-framed city of some 10,000 or so people. Now it houses 100,000 plus. You visit the ruins of Nethervale, the first place of civilization that you arrived at. And here in Vale, this city is wonderful, with such a range and diversity of races and people of all sorts. You are bid welcome to the castle, Avalonia Castle, and the day comes when you are bid audience with the Witch Queen herself, one of the other few exceedingly high level sorcerers, 29th level sorcerer, somebody who has also been able to cheat death with her exploits and hundreds and hundreds of years of adventuring.
Yeah, she was alive.
And the day comes when, with Jake not invited to this, but you and her have private counsel in a enormous meeting room around an empty council table. You and the Witch Queen of Vale, her name is Oriel. She comes into the room and sees you, and in a way similar to Keldudra with you, is astounded to see you looking almost the same as when she last did some 1400 years before. Godbringer. She comes forward and takes your hand. I am Oriel, the Witch Queen of Avalonia.
It's a pleasure to see you once again.
How do you look this way? Godbringer.
Well, you know, my dalliances with time.
Did you tell her that, by the way?
Nimblefoot did, I believe. Yeah.
Ah, yes. Yes, our mutual friend filled me in on some of the details. Well, bless Palladius
That's Palladius.
for bringing you to this city so long ago. You know we have statues of you here.
Of me?
Well, of course.
Oh, I did not know this. I did not know Well, thank you.
The two of you discuss. Is there anything that you would want to acquire from her, or anything you want from her, or do you just montage?
Montage.
Right, you montage a healthy and vigorous discussion
Yeah.
the nature of time and the things that you've missed out on the previous 1400 years.
I will want to go see my statue. I'll take Drake as well.
Yeah. You go to the church that you visited 1400 years ago that's been completely rebuilt several times. But what hasn't been rebuilt is the statue that morphed. And this enormous platinum statue of a blindfolded lady takes centre space, and on a smaller scale, as part of the statue, is you. In a very heroic, slightly dramatised picture of a goddess touching the hand of a paladin.
I don't remember that, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's been like over exaggerated features.
I mean, dang.
Yes, you do look very heroic.
I'm not complaining, but
And so the Godbringer is absolutely loved here in this city. You are not able to wander freely within the city, obviously, for
medium.
you are almost like an angel to them, and you are granted a key to the city of Vale,
I thought you wanted
and bid added to your heraldry, Defender of Avalonia.
Oh.
So it's 3 months, takes you to Avalonia and back again, and back to your work with the cathedral, whilst Elluen studies high and time magic, and that year passes. It is now 288, Kurth Reckoning.
How old is Ellie?
Ellie is now, let's see, I will tell you exactly how old she is. She is... let's see, Avernus here, she was 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's now 6.
Oh.
You turned 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. You're now 23, you're now 25 in terms of actual time alive.
Has Ellie started growing any horns, or is she human?
I don't know. I think you should decide what she gets up to during this time, since she is your adopted niece.
Oh, she's so cute. Practicing her flute. Her bagpipes. Wait, well, no, what are they?
Sure.
Not bagpipes.
I'll put her as a 0 level bard. And during these 2 years since your return, you become 24th level paladin, and you become a 24th level divine. And that is the last level that you will ever attain in this campaign.
Yeah.
And that sufficiently justifies the work you put in and some encounters.
Can I roll my hit points?
Of course.
Amazing, maximum.
I actually
Nice.
want to gain some this time.
Now, at 24th level, you gain something called Deep Memory.
Oh, hell yeah.
And what this means is, as a bonus action, you can exchange one memorized spell for one that isn't. You can use this feature twice, and then you regain full expended charges after a long rest.
That would be pretty useful. But unfortunately, that is only combat mechanics,
Well, it's good for that.
which I will never get to use.
What you gain for 24th level, and you can pick another boon, by the way.
Boom.
Boom, 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 boom. Philly, don't worry about it. If it's lost, it's lost.
What is it?
You're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yay! Look at
It's
me.
like Palladius' hand out. That's the negative
Wow, so
plane.
wrong. You get righteous demeanor and divine soul.
Whoa, okay. Sounds cool.
At 24th level, your divine sense is always active. You cannot be surprised by fiends or undead.
Cool.
You always know when you hear a lie, which you already have.
Yeah.
Additionally, you can use your channel divinity feature twice between rests.
What's that?
I'm not sure.
Channel of it.
What is that?
Also, at 24th level, your divine spirit grants you advantage with performance and persuasion checks made against creatures of good alignment, and intimidation checks against creatures of evil alignment.
Wait, I get advantage by persuasion.
Yeah.
Ah, shut up.
Oh no, I'm dangerous. Okay, hang on, let me see what channel divinity is.
Channel divinity
Oh, no,
are your
dangerous.
powers
Yeah.
because of your oath.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Thought so, I just didn't call it that. Wait, so that now I can. Was that twice? Twice per one? No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool! Okay. That's like. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I get it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, good. So you attain 24th level during those 2 years. Now we come into... Are you both with me?
Sorry, I'm looking
It
at
looks
my
really
channel.
bad on the stream when you're both on your
I was
phone.
looking
I'm
for my
looking at
channel
boobs.
divinity. Yeah, it's D&D stuff. Alright.
Okay. So that's okay, you can do that. Would you already know what your boon would be?
Oh yeah, boons. Right.
Did you choose the
No, I
immortality one, by
put
the
my
way?
charisma up.
Your charisma. So you can either put something up another 2 and leave other things to just, well, I assume it happens at some point in the future.
I'm gonna put my charisma up again.
To what?
To 24.
Go ahead. You'll have +7.
I will eventually put take a boon of immortality.
What's your oath, by the way?
Absolution?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
As a result of your charisma going up to such a legendary, angelic level, your oath, which was unique to you, attracts paladins of first level and second level
Aww.
who have yet to take their oath from across the continent and from further afield even than that, who want to learn of the oath of absolution from you.
I'll help with oath taking rituals.
Roll, let's say 46.
46?
Yeah.
Um, 15.
15 paladins come,
Ah,
and perhaps as part of the cathedral there is an enclave
yeah.
where these paladins who undertake great pilgrimages to you come to study and learn. Jake also foregoes his oath to take up the oath of absolution and becomes a great teacher and scholar of your ways. As you, well, now my friends, great adventurers, my kids, we're getting into the final hour or so of this game. And what happens over the coming years? I think there will probably be 2 or 3 great tasks that you undertake of most significance, notwithstanding any adventuring that may happen as NPCs, but as PCs there will be maybe 2 or 3 jobs that you want to see through, that you want to see done, maybe over the ensuing 5, maybe even 10 years. What are those?
Okay,
Quite quickly, I want to take the boon of fate.
What does that do?
When another creature that you can see within 16 feet makes an ability check, an attack roll, or saving throw, they can roll a d10 and apply the result as a bonus or penalty to the roll.
Are you sure you don't want to put your intelligence up to 24?
No, because I think this is like, you know, like diviner kind of, like, you know,
Sure.
I can see the future, so like
Yeah.
increase or thing. But
It's up to you, it's your call.
that would work better, but I do like my intelligence, so I think I
Did
might.
you take immortality in the last one? For sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about how that occurs over the years, because that comes on more gently and slowly. Something about being one of the magi and a high mage of a crayon after your year of intense study with Keldudra, one day the two of you go to just visiting with each other every few months, maybe every 6 months or so, and you spend a day or two there. And on one such visit, Keldudra weeps for your mortality. It says that, shares with you his melancholy that you are so short-lived.
Oh.
I have lived some 1700 years, and maybe I will persist for some time, but I realize that at some point I will be a relic of this world and will withdraw, whether to undeath or to diminish to the very elements that make me. But you have been alive only a blink of the eye. 25 years. Such power and knowledge cannot go in another 50 or 60. And thus begins a powerful ritual. Keldudra has a legendary artifact, a ring of long life. And it's right here in the High Magic sourcebook. And with the ring of long life, I'm going to read out exactly what it says. With the ring of long life being worn, you regain your constitution modifier in hit points every hour, provided you have at least one hit point. Additionally, you are resistant to necrotic damage and immune to magical aging. Your body's natural aging slows to 1/1000th of its normal rate. And this ring, the power within the ring, is, over the course of many, many days, transferred to you. The ring is destroyed, and with Keldudra's help, your own powerful magical abilities, and a few of the remaining sorceers of a crayon, all of the power of the Ring of Long Life is transferred into you, never to be dispelled or countered or removed. You are practically immortal, but for the sakes of strict rules, your body's natural aging slows to 1/1000th of its normal rate. With this ritual, any of the undeath granted to you by Arman is purged from your body. You are made new and pure and pale. Something about the power of this Ring of Long Life slows down your biological functions such that you no longer flush with outrage or embarrassment. Your blood vessels aren't required so much anymore. So you become paler and paler still.
How is that possible?
And you regain, what's your constitution modifier?
+1.
You get a hit point an hour in regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
So you regenerate a hit point an hour, so long as you have at least one.
Great.
And you are resistant to necrotic damage and immune to magical aging. This long ritual counts as one of your boons, but isn't just something that just happens, it happens as a result of this effort. and Elluen, the Eternal, comes into being. Alright.
Oh no!
Not undead,
You've made a grave.
but aging slowed through powerful enchantments such that you are protected from any risk of aging. Where you might live till 75, naturally, you would now, or 75 or 80, you would now live to 80,000. So you will die, if left alone on this planet to live out your days, though that would be something of a lonely thing. But not for a long, long time to come. And what is your second boon going to be?
I think I might just increase my...
Yeah, what else?
I think I'll increase my strength. No, fuck no, intelligence.
Your intelligence goes to 24. What was your first boon? Immortality? No,
I haven't taken it.
you've done charisma twice.
Yeah.
Great. So now, my friends, my children, wonderful epic heroes, what does your character go on to for the next 5 to 10 years? I'm looking for 2 or 3 great things, perhaps that you do together, so that you finish this campaign doing together things just as you started this campaign together.
We need to take the instructions that I got in the vision, and we need to.
Can we do that last?
Yeah. So before that, I would like to find where the white dragon mask went,
Yeah.
because that also, I assume, got kicked out of the mansion.
Yep.
Okay. I would say I will rule here that you don't find it, but you do discover that it has been claimed through the use of great wizardry and prayer. It has been taken. By which side in this, you're not sure. Perhaps that's for other adventurers to find and track down.
Big things. What loose ends are there?
What great things do you want to do or undo? Not for the whole of your character's lives, but the next 5 to 10 years will really mark the end of the campaign.
Wait, we gotta... Can we just please go back to that tower near the Wyvern and go down into the basement? I have to do it.
Oh my god, wait!
What was down there?
We don't know. We
His
never went
wife
down
or
there.
something, his wife's
Yes.
clothes.
Yeah, the day comes when you revisit the plains, to the grasslands to the north of Curve Town.
It's before we even started streaming and recording.
Yeah. And the ruined tower is still there. It is not so old since you were last here. And you see off a carrion crawler or 2 on the day that you arrive and open the trapdoor.
This
It
is
has
where we met our
become
goblin friend.
massively rusted shut. And within, give me an investigation or perception check, your choice.
Oh. Investigation 17. I rolled a 4.
Between you find the skeleton. Small skeleton of what looks to be a human female. In manacles, in shackles.
I will take it and bury it.
No, let's bring it back to Dragonsphere.
Okay, we'll take the body and go to Dragonsphere, yeah.
Alright. You return to Dragonspear. For the first time in How many? Right, so you've been back for 2 years. Now we begin the next decade. How far into this next decade? The first year of it?
Yeah.
Okay, the first year of it. So this is now, just to get the timeline exactly right for you, to give you a sense of how long has passed since you last at Dragon Spear. It's not so long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 years later. 7 years later, you return to Dragon Spear, which I'm sure I have here.
Really? Do you think you'll still have it?
Go through the room with the black dragon in. Have to go past the hole where the spectator came out of.
Only this time, rather than having to do any of that, you simply fly using your magic into Dragon Spear, this ruined tower on the side of the hill. Land in the courtyard where previously you had battled the wraith that was the Duke of Dragonspear. You look around and notice with wonder all the memories of being there, of the encroaching zombies and the wraith itself. You remember seeing your friend fall, somebody you'd only known for a few weeks at that point, but seeing her fall, the life sucked from her, and the arrival of a white-haired Nimblefoot to revive her. And you smile in your power now, and the knowledge that such a thing could be reversed with a thought now. What do you want to do here in Dragonspear?
Bury her body. And I want to cast Hallow.
It's your favourite spell.
And Everlasting Grass.
Oh wow.
Yeah, dead bodies interred in the area can't be turned into undead.
So with that, Dragonspear becomes hallowed ground. And any undead within, still remaining within the ruins, are forced to find another pit to hide in. Future adventurers will report of Dragonspear being a calm and peaceful resting place on the long journey north into the forests of Elleneth, rather than the dark and brooding place that you had discovered it to be. Dragonspear is hallowed. Dragonspear is released of evil.
Send clerics.
And though you cannot confirm it, you imagine that if there is anything that remains of the Duke of Dragonspear, and the torture he must have gone through in losing his beloved, that is released now. Across time and across space. And you hope that even though the undead form of it was obliterated, that something that remains maybe rests easier. You spend a humble night around a campfire at Dragonspear. Not too far from where you were evacuated to safety soon after your revival.
Had enough time to grab the alchemy jug.
And on that night, around the campfire, quietly and able to slip past even your most wary defences, a robed figure with white hair comes to sit next to you at the fire. Just like that. He sits down quietly at the fireplace with you. Hi.
Hi.
Puts an arm around both of you.
Can't just show up out of nowhere, Nimblefoot.
Well, that's what I do. That's what I did.
That is what he does.
Okay. Well, I like to think it's because I told Lermir to send someone to send.
You think that'll just keep looping over and over? Maybe. To think this is where it all began for us. How you been?
Good.
Yeah?
Building.
What about
Learning.
you? Well, things are afoot in Horizon, and I thought I'd check in with you. You know I have the power to detect where you are within a few miles, which is what brought me here. The dragon sorcerers of the Western Horizon have risen again. And whilst it is not imminent, they pose a desperate threat to the millions of people that call that continent their home. I just thought I'd come and check in with you, because if in the ensuing years you find yourself with nothing to do, well, come and join me.
Of course.
Because it will need heroes. Always the dragon sorcerers, such that brought the Magisters together hundreds of years ago. That was just one. 3 of them have come together. This poses a dominance of the nation that will... Sorry, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So I just came to say, if you do feel yourself needing a task, let me know. I know you're on a bit of a road trip right now.
We will. I'm so down to be there.
You know,
Well-
screw those Magisters. We're the Magisters now.
Yeah, us three. Come on, guys.
You can't spell Magister without
Mad.
Magi, Phallic, Zero. Yeah.
We've got a stone to destroy or to dispose of, and then
And Kilgar to wake up.
gotta find Kilgar.
Yeah.
The last time you had a feeling about him,
No, he's awake.
he's awake.
Of course. It took me a while, but I found him. He's up with the people. He's back with his people in Everrock.
Wasn't it just called Stone before?
Stone was where we went.
Oh.
Do you remember? With,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
He's
back.
with his people in Everrock. Rockholm.
Okay,
To the north of Avalonia.
right.
Far to the north. It took a while.
What have you been up to?
Oh, this
Mr.
and that. Montage. I wanted you to have one more night at Dragonspear, and since you chose that, I thought it would be fitting for Nimblefoot to join you at Dragonspear. So the 3 of you, powerful beyond measure. For miles around, any stalking beast, goblin, or nearby threat, perhaps another wyvern flying overhead, senses the power of these 3 individuals around the campfire, and you pass through a night and journey on foot for a while, southwards to Curtin the next day, enjoying the same journey that you'd made 7 years before. To Nimblefoot, 85 years before, to into Curtin. Nimblefoot embraces you both closely and tightly and says, "We are eternal friends and champions. And if you get bored, come to Horizon. Call me. And I'll take you there. and leaves you once more. So Dragonspear becomes hallowed ground, purified and peaceful. And you get word of other threats in the nearby hemisphere of this planet. What else would you like to do?
I want to go to Rockholm.
Both of you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Rockholm lies some... Where is it? New curse reckoning. Okay, good. Rockholm is where you to travel only some 250 miles to the north and slightly east of Avalonia. You would enter thick forest. You would find the humans, mainly human settlement of Woodsmead. You would follow a river until it became a stream, until you found the source in the mountains of a dwarven settlement called Boulderstead. And from that city, you would travel north to the mighty city of Everrock, part of Rockholm. And this clan, this family of mountain dwarves that make up Everrock, are separated from the clans that made up Tyraon. But Everrock is a surviving, equally as ancient city. But it has survived all this time. You are bid welcome to Everrock. You are heralded as friends of the dwarves and made friends of Everrock in your heraldry.
Let's go.
Add that to the.
And there, one day in Everrock, not long after arrival, in a courtyard, in a waiting courtyard, above ground, a burly, red-headed dwarf comes out. Oh my god. Shit, I can't believe it.
I can't remember.
What in the hell?
I'm gonna hug him.
I know you. And I know you. So long. But only a few years since you saw me, right? Well, it worked. Right? It worked.
Yeah.
I slept for so long.
Did you find a good place?
Aye. High up in the clouds. For 100 years I slept on clouds. For 100 more I made friends with cloud giants in their city up there. So high, the air so thin. 100 more years I helped defend their city before coming back down to the ground. And then the people here, they let me sleep beneath the mines, far below. They guarded me as I slept. 100 years and 100 more I slept. I forgot my name. And I grew and I grew. And I couldn't remember whether I was a dragon who dreamt he was a dwarf, or a dwarf that dreamt he was a dragon. So I slept some more in the hopes that it would fade. And it would be like waking up and knowing that it had all been forgotten. And then I had to defend the city attackers, that orcs came some 500 years ago. And they were thankful for a gold dragon that thought it was a dwarf. And then they did magics on me. And they knew I spoke the truth. And they brought the greatest clerics from across the realm. The greatest clerics of Clangeddon. And they took away the magic. And it left me. Not a dragon, just old Killian. And I knew I had to keep away from me, because I knew there was another me out there somewhere. So I kept busy and I mined and I crafted and I learnt things, and turns out I'm the oldest dwarf that ever lived. But I remember you. Montage time. You spend several Tendays at Everrock, telling stories, mostly listening to stories from Kilgar. And there is a sadness in that great expanse of time that he went alone, without any of the reminders of who he was. But as the 10 days persist, more and more of that is shed, and more of the Kilgar you knew. For you, not that so long ago, but for him, so long ago, is returned. And even though the intelligence of a dragon was magically dispelled from him, for being alive so long, for fighting and warring and protecting for so long, he is now the most intelligent of dwarfs. The most powerful of dwarfs, not just physically but mentally as well. And his levels, ridiculous, off the charts.
Yeah.
And thus, he still has to put ability scores up. So Kilgar, ironically, has an 18 intelligence now, naturally.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just as a result of being alive so long, learning so much. And at the end of your visit with him, he bids farewell to Everrock and heads south with you. So after you retrieve Kilgar, you return back to southeast of the continent, check back in at Curthton. You have several 10 days with Keiko and Silverglade.
I was gonna say, yeah, I wanna go.
Meeting them after several years have passed and hearing stories, such stories of the defense and fortification of Ellenef. Keiko is now the arcane archer protector of the two queens. And Silverglade also serves on the council in Eliador. But they keep their humble little cottage in the woods, just to the northwest of Dragonspear. And there you spend many a day telling stories and having fun. During this time, you all pay a visit to a wizard's tower perched on the edge of a mountain in Mistdale. And that visit is much needed. There you meet with an aged Lorik, gruff as ever and less firm of mind. But still tears stream down his face as he greets all of you at the doors. And his... Hang on, I've got it here in my NPCs.
Oh yeah.
NPCs. Okay. And Yexin, his gnome servant, is still there. But it is Ariel who remains broken, lost, maddened by her capture and torture in Avernus. The tears you all shed together span days as you recount your battle with Luther. You fill everybody in your journey back through time. And there comes with that a sense of completion. You, Danae, are able to use your holy powers over many, many days. And not just one or two divine interventions to slowly restore Ariel. Great priestess of Solarius, the twin deity with Palladius. And the day arrives, sometime after your arrival in Mistdale, where Ariel opens her eyes properly for the first time. Not to a blank stare and any kind of tortured madness, but there is sentience, there is right mind behind her eyes once again. Danae. Her aged face, she reaches out and touches your cheek. Thank you.
I'll hug her.
And so the companions of Kurth, for Atea comes along for this ride, are all reunited. But for one. A small gnome who is braver maybe than the sum of all of them. Whilst everyone one evening is talking, it is now another further Tenday. Yexim has been working off his feet to try and look after all the guests. As the companions of Kurth laugh, drink. Nimblefoot joins you for it as well. Everybody is there. There's so many years of adventure to share and some mind-bending concepts, especially as results time travel that you have to try and explain to the gathered friends. Silverglade, feet up on a stool, goes, wait, so Kilgar, you're here, you were here, and then you were also here. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. And Keiko's like, don't be silly. Come on, it's really easy. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what to say to you. You're silly. How can there be two of you? I know he can do two because he makes one, but look, what's out of snow? But it's not. And Keiko goes, look, come here. And she draws it on paper. Look, see, it loops around. Look there. Laurie goes, I don't bloody messing with time travel. What the devil? So much could have gone wrong.
We had to take that risk.
Yes, well, I suppose. I will stick to regular magic, my boy, personally.
Well, I was just off learning with one of the Grand... I can't remember their title.
Arcanor.
Yeah.
Grand Arcanor.
First up.
Elves. Elvish magic. Oh, what the blazes would you want to be using elvish magic for, my boy?
Racist. First off, we've got elves in the room.
Yeah, what?
Well, no offence. I mean first elves. I mean, I thought they all died out.
They would have if I hadn't have
I
said...
get it. Everything we have to thank for you. No, I appreciate it.
You
and
do
me.
do appreciate it. And
Yeah,
you,
she-
yeah,
And
I appreciate it.
Kilgar.
Hey, and me,
Yeah,
lad.
and him.
Some semblance of the old days is felt once more in this Tenday that you spend here. Is there anything that you'd like to do? I saw your face light up at mention of Zanlin. Is there anything you'd like to attempt?
Can I cast Speak with Dead?
I think you need a body for that.
I'll do Wish to cast it, which means I don't need any components.
One minute.
Are you
Let's check this out. The corpse must still have a mouth. You can't do it. You need a corpse.
Is that included in the material components for the spell?
No, the material components is incense. You can't cast Speak with Dead. You can use Wish freely to try and communicate with the soul of Zanlin.
Why don't you just try and bring it back?
Couldn't I just... Because I know I can cast Clone without
Yeah.
any components. Can I cast Clone? I don't need any of his flesh. And
Try and make
would
a
only
new body.
work if he was still alive.
could I still make a body for him though? Of him?
You can just...
Like,
The only way that you can return him is just by using Wish.
Yeah, okay.
You can do your portent as percentage
Yeah,
of the day.
I will do
do I have
that.
to word this correctly?
But also we're going to do it critical role way. But fortunately...
That's not even a correct portent for a wish. I couldn't even do it today.
What did you roll?
A 6. I can't even do it today. I'll
Roll
do
it again, roll it again,
I'll do it the next day.
roll it again.
47.
No, that 47 was for the wish. So you succeeded.
Yeah.
You can still cast Wish. But what would you
Wait,
like
did you
to...
just make me almost give up the thing?
Yeah.
You just scammed me.
Because you can always do it every day.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, while you're all here at the great tower of Lorick at Mistdale, overlooking the town of timbered buildings so close to the mountains that lead into a crayon and to the marred gate, what would you like to do here? Lorick has chambers. There's a teleportation room in the bottom of the tower and a study in the top. This might be something, if you want to attempt it, that you need to explain to everybody.
I will explain to everybody what I'm about to attempt to do.
Oh my boy, you really are going to try and mess with magic, aren't you?
Silverglade?
That's what I do.
Do you
now.
remember?
Let me just
Worked on me.
wait a second.
Do it, lad. If his soul wants to, it'll come back.
Alrighty. Okay dokie.
Well, we should.
Ariel says, but you are not resurrecting in line with the usual methods. There is no remains.
Exactly. Which is why I'm using Wish freely. Well, not freely, I'm still controlling it. I'm just gonna wish.
Say it.
Alright. I wish... How do I put this?
I wish to bring Zanlin
I wish...
permanently.
What's his last name again?
Don't worry about that.
Okay. I wish...
Can we just say I wish to bring Zanlin immediately and permanently back to life in
Permanently? Not good.
Oh, immediately.
You're already...
Back to
Sure.
life in his original form.
Okay.
Body.
I wish to return Zanlin's soul to the prime material plane here in this chamber and to reconstruct Zanlin's former body from... Wait, what date did he die? The year before?
Okay, you give the date.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thingy Kurth Reckoning in front of me. And for him to raised to life.
You don't have to be...
I have to be specific.
Well, remember, magic is mischievous. So the more specific you are, the more it might try.
I would just trust it, yeah.
Alright.
Okay. All of the companions of Kurth, except one, line the outer walls, the inner walls of the teleportation chamber in Lorik's Tower. This chamber now conveniently, with its focus of the circle, converted into a focus for everyone's intention. You awkwardly, in spite of your power, step forward and speak a few words to try and entice back your friend who has been dead for some years now, 2 or 3 years, and there are no remains. So the magic reaches out. It reaches out for something to tether onto. But it's when you speak of returning his soul to the prime material plane that a great sigh fills the chamber. And in the middle of the room, like an etheric wisp outline, is the glowing outline of a small, scrunched up figure. Ghost-like. It is Zanlin's soul. Here, vulnerable and perfect in the middle of the chamber. Everyone gasps. Keiko's like, is this him or an apparition? Ariel says, be still. This is the soul of our friend. We must entice him here. Ariel goes on. Zanlin, our friend. Your ingenuity. Served us all so well. Your time was cut short. Join us here. Join us back here. Let your soul find physical form. Who else would like to have a go at saying something? 17.
Zanlin. You are ours. And we are yours. And we want you back. So please return. We miss you.
Persuasion check.
I can't see.
17 plus.
Okay. 35.
Sobbing.
Kilgar's gonna have a go.
Go.
Hey! Come on! Come on, lad! We need you here. There's still work to be done. These blinking spaceships of yours. Clement Hill needs a leader again. Come on, lad. Anybody else like to say anything?
I'd like to say something. Zanlin, come on. You're the one of the best of us. You're the morale of the group, and you're needed more now than ever before. It just hasn't felt the same since you left us those years back. Come to your...
Okay, give me a... Just roll D20.
16.
The huddled shape barely moves and certainly doesn't look around while you speak to it. It remains huddled like a frightened child. But slowly, ever so slowly, as you look upon it, as you say your words, you collapse to the floor at 3 strength. Weakened, you still reach out, channeling the power of the wish through your hand. And then slowly this glowing light seeps down your veins, and almost imperceptibly, like a golden threads from the ends of your fingers. Keiko spots it first. Look! And then you see it in your strength. Still trying to hold the wish. This golden light streams out and starts to encompass the ethereal, ghost-like form of the soul. It goes from a wispy white to a gold. As these threads of energy, of golden light, start to encircle and swirl and apparate around the ghost-like form. Everybody in the room looks on in awe and wonder as the chamber starts to glow brighter and brighter, golder and more bright and golden, until the ghost is now like a golden ghost, vibrant and bright and radiant. And with that, the head looks up. And looks around. And you hear, ghost-like at first, it is mine, it's mine. It continues to glow more and more, brighter and brighter, as you barely keep your strength, as the gold continues to fly out of you. Silverglade wants to help you, and Light goes, don't do it, leave him. Let him see it through. Don't interrupt it. As you continue, all the gold, until finally the entire room beams with bright light. You can't see anything except this vague form of light in the center of the room. And after a time, imperceptibly, you drop your hand and fall to the ground, pale, paler and sweating. And it's at that point Silverglade comes forward and tends to you. Elluen. And in the center of the room, he gets you in a kind of a recovery position, cradles your head, and you all look over as the golden light dims. And there, in the middle of the room, naked and perfect is Zanlin. Is this real?
Zanlin,
Danae, is this real?
this is real. It's real.
I need to make a saving throw. What am I doing here? That thing, it touched me. It touched me and I knew nothing, I just knew darkness. Ooh, how did we get here? You look so different.
Zanlin, I'll go over to him. I'll wrap him in a cloak or something.
Okay, it's so cold. How did we get here? We're at the crater.
Zanlin,
Where is Elluen?
I'm here.
What are you okay?
Yeah,
Zanlin.
I'm fine.
What happened to the big black thing, the night
We
walkers?
killed all
It's
of
dead.
them.
It's dead.
I mean, Danae killed all of them.
You're mine.
You.
Yeah,
You
He
are
gives
mine.
you a big cuddle and holds out his hand to you and brings you over. You are mine. Kilgar, since you were the three he was last with. You are mine. You bring us back to tower.
We brought you back to life, Zanlin.
I did not die.
Yeah, you just went unconscious.
For a long time.
I mean, it might not be that long to you. As
What?
I know.
I mean, it's. How many years has this been?
Like 3.
Three.
Yeah, about
Three.
Well, 3 years.
Oh, I feel so funny. I feel really good.
New body.
Wait, does he have full hit points or 1 hit point?
I'd say with that wish and your role in particular, I'd say he's fully back,
Okay.
restored of everything. I feel great, actually. I must say, I feel great. You look terrible.
Yeah.
Oh! Do you need healing?
No, I don't. It doesn't.
You don't
hurt.
lose hit points, do you?
I'm just weak.
You look so weak. I feel great. You are here, Laurie Kaiser. It has been years. What are you doing? Why are we here? What is happening?
You missed.
Okay. Why
Why have I got no clothes on?
why don't we get us Suzuki some tea?
I need my glasses.
Oh yeah.
You never seen him without his glasses.
Oh,
on. He
yeah.
looks like a bonkers. He's got like really small eyes. You know, it's like, what is it? Still got his, and he's not got his plaits in his hair. Or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Hey,
It's like, what?
why don't we go downstairs?
What is going on
and
here?
Get some tea.
If you didn't have any tattoos because he's lost all of them.
Yes, I want tea. I'm hungry. I'm very hungry.
Let's go downstairs.
No food in your body.
Keiko's crying, Silvergate's crying,
Yeah,
everyone's
I'm
like, oh my god, why are you crying? It has been a few years, hasn't it? Yes, well, it's lovely to be here. Come on, let's go.
Oh my god.
You go upstairs. And he sits and fortunately Yexim has some gnomish sized clothes. So, he can wear them. So he ends up putting on like waiter's gear. And he's like, well, this is ridiculous, but this is mine. Where is all my stuff? Did you steal my stuff?
Wait, we have his. Hey, Taya, did you happen to get anything?
We've got all your stuff. We've got all your stuff.
Oh, good.
Why did you take it in the first place?
Because
It
you
is
left
mine.
it all in the crater. It is mine.
Okay,
I gave you it.
that is good. Well, as long as I get it back.
I think I remember all of his stuff that's like magical.
We must stop Yurishnik. We have to turn it around. Now
It's
we're just
okay.
seeing it.
Zanlin, it's all done.
We have to get through time.
So
You
done.
We
missed
must go-
it.
What?
You know Kilgar in the frozen in like the suspended animation
Yes.
for 3 years.
Remember after Luther?
That's kind of like what happened to you. You missed the whole end to it.
What? But you cannot look after yourselves.
Zanlin, you died. You died.
I had to use wish to bring you back.
Wish is just children's stories. There's no witching. This is stupid.
Okay.
Tell that to everyone else.
Where are we? What is happening?
Lorik's
here?
Tower.
We're in Lorik's Tower.
Yes, no, I know we are. I don't understand what happened.
You don't need to worry about the continent or Enavansi or anything.
But the creeping shit and the
all gone.
It's gone.
It's all gone. The trees are back.
We're safe.
Yeah.
What about the spelljammer that crashed in the woods?
It's still there.
We'll have to go back and get it.
Yeah.
Also, I think the Spelljammer book is probably...
Nevermelt has fallen.
Oh yes, no, the book is at Nevermelt.
No,
Nevermelt
Nevermelt completely
it's
collapsed
destroyed.
in on itself.
But the book will be there, yes. What do you mean the land?
Okay.
It is so big, there is no
Let
way
me
you
tell
can
you
fit it.
what happened. So.
Okay, montage.
Yeah.
I'd say 2 days of bringing everybody up to speed on everything
Yeah.
easily happens. And with that, at the end of these 2 days of catching up, and
I tell him, you got to see the statue at Clement Hill of you.
yeah, you get to a place at the end of it where people are starting to think about going their separate ways and back to the demands of their lives or the beckonings of their wanderlust or whatever it might be. And so after in total maybe a 10-day at Lorik's Tower, the companions of Kurth are dispersed. Zanlin implores with you to be involved in the construction of the cathedral.
Oh yeah.
He maintains that there is no way that a human can build such a thing without gnomish artificer inclusion. And he creates a semi-permanent base at Davlin. Kilgar likewise says, look, I spent so many years not even knowing what the bloody hell's going on, and before that so many years bloody imprisoned. I'm fed up of that. I want to just do something normal. So look, if you got a bunch of masons,
Yes.
I've lived 1,800 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know masonry like nobody, like the best of them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The best.
Yeah.
The oldest dwarf,
The best.
400 years, 450 years, will never know as much as I know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think this needs some dwarven input.
I agree with you. And
Great.
you know what? In Davlin, we have the best brewers.
I've got your alchemy jar.
Hey! My boy! That's great. It is mine. No, it's not yours. It's mine. Alright? And so, in the ensuing moons, Kilgar and Zanlin create semi-permanent bases in Davlin to aid in the construction of the cathedral. And though they may not be there for all of its construction, they wreak wondrous knowledge upon the early planning and construction of this great cathedral. So, that's just in the first year of 10. What else must be done before you close your character sheets for probably or maybe the last time?
Okay. I wanna so Saria, because I feel like that's
Should kill
a
her.
leftover from me. She was involved in my family, stuff like that. So I wanna find those rubies, destroy them.
Okay. As soon as cutscene, the minute Saria gets wind of the changes that ripple through, and with Nevermelt's fall, she realizes the tentative nature of her modified myth, and she flees She flees at a time when you are busy doing other reparations. And just as Nimblefoot didn't get vengeance for the assassination of his parents until much later in his life, it won't be something that Danae will repair so easily. Because Saria, very powerful cleric and sorcerer, and she flees to Horizon. So perhaps that's something for a one-shot at a later date, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't she get beat by a statue falling on her? I dropped a statue on her when we fought her. And then you...
She had a clone, didn't she?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Oh.
But yeah, it doesn't take much research for you to learn of such things, and whilst the modify myth prevails, it's only a DC 25 check for insight if you want to try and make it.
What is it?
25. Insight.
25.
25.
Yeah.
The day comes when you recall fully her nature, rather than just what your friend had told you and what you had trusted. And with your great charisma and your great persuasion, what I will say is that your reputations are repaired in Curthdeep.
No, okay.
You are reunited with Ereborn Kurthson, and you have an important meeting with the council that frees the council from the modified myth. Your stupendous charisma and persuasion power, enhanced and augmented by your friend's magic, convinces the council of the truth of Saria. And so she will be hunted for the rest of her days. And Curthdeep becomes, maybe not fair to say an uncorrupted republic, but at least one that is corrupted in the more typical ways that such power and governmental control tends to corrupt people. And the Free Republic of Kurth is not restrained such. The great paladin who had wielded Celeste is freed from the curse, as are many of the other members of the council. And one other council member, named, bear with me a second.
Who was that mind flare that was just on the council?
That's who I was just
Yeah.
So Saria Silantha flees and is replaced by a paladin called Solace Benedict. Willem Broadhelm is uncursed and begins his journey back to becoming a great remembered hero.
Also, that bozo that scammed us and told us to go down into the...
That's what I'm about to get to.
Yep.
Corin Castelor of Dracobane sees the modified myth for what it is. Cameron Dowersprang, the war wizard on the council, sees sense. Mia Hoffrenay, the former palace healer, sees sense. Sasha Fallenbrand sees sense.
Sasha!
Avril Dawnstalker, who is the Lord of Nook, sees sense. Keaton,
Keaton!
the Mind Flayer,
Keaton.
does not see sense.
Yeah.
Is tried for his crimes and rightfully and completely destroyed by the council.
Yeah.
Lyra Yeskin of the White Scarf Guild
That's for sending us down into a...
is freed but leaves the council.
We've got some vacancies right here.
Kyle Torrell, yes, of the Watchers, is likewise freed. And Nikas, the Artificer, regains and retains and was never... always knew the truth.
Of course,
One of the only other people that always knew. Knows no best. Regains and retains his place. So,
I will invite Wilhelm to visit the Isle of Celeste if he wants to.
what's that?
I will invite Wilhelm to visit the Isle of Celeste if he wants to. To help along his
He does
journey
not want to.
of, you know.
Yeah. I'd say you spend many a day in conversation with him, informing him of the nature of Celeste the Sword and her freedom.
Yep.
And all of this helps him. He joins. Actually, roll a persuasion check.
Okay.
He does not join.
He hates you. 20. Hang on. Oh, 30, sorry.
30.
Yeah.
Good. There's a 27 on this one. He then decides to become the chief, and in agreement with him, this mighty hero who fell and then rose again, and then fell again, and now wants to rise again,
He fell over.
becomes the patron of the Oath of Absolution and becomes its greatest scholar and disciple.
Your place.
And takes up kind of eternal pilgrimage at the Isle of Celeste.
He was welcome.
the site of the, what's the island called?
The Isle of Celeste.
The Isle of Celeste.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. And starts to pen your story. Starts to write your book
Oh.
on the story of the Godbringer. Right. What else?
What else do we do?
I'm running out of things.
What else is there? Hang on.
What's something?
What? Before you leave anything to any future one-shots or
Yeah.
NPC stuff, is there anything significant that you know you wouldn't be happy if your character hadn't done that? It is always hard to end, but is there anything that you go like, oh, I'd regret that?
I'm gonna teach Lorik true polymorph because he said once that he wanted to one day just turn into an animal and just live a humble
Oh
life.
yeah, he might be a tree.
You do that. He's not high enough level to learn true. Well, he can learn it, but he
Yeah,
can't.
I give him
can't
like a
cast
page
it.
so he can just learn it one
Okay,
day.
alright, you inscribe it for him. And actually his time spent with you restores, you find that a little of his gruffness subsides and he becomes somewhat more positive again. And Ariel, renewed in her faith, becomes a great cleric of Solarius once more.
I'm gonna do draw mages, instant summons, and all our stuff. Literally every single thing. Everything.
Oh, what?
Draw mages, instant summons.
For all last time.
Everything. Everything that I own. Please.
Okay, you have all of your stuff.
Yeah.
Hoarding it.
Now
Wait, does it mean it can just?
I can just get it back to me.
Right.
You have to be with the thing to do it. You can't just do it from
Oh,
anywhere.
yeah.
I know.
Okay, good. Yeah, you get most of your stuff back. You can't just draw mages your stuff that's in Nevermelt,
No,
for
no.
example.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, good.
I'm fully aware.
Alright. Is there anything else before the stone?
I don't think so. Hang on. I'll see if I can find out where Celeste is.
You don't.
Okay. Then nothing else. Yeah, I'm good.
You do not.
So I don't want to just say like with the Saria thing, I'm like, no, you can't, but
Yeah. Just because she said they'd be spending time on the prime material plane.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe with the divine intervention,
That's
Palladius
cool.
will
You
show
know
it
what?
to you.
I'll leave them to their business.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have it, you know.
They're like travellers now.
Yeah.
Wanting to stay off the radar. An angel and a fiend in love and on the road.
I'll just
Aw.
hope that she knows that, well, one day maybe she'll come across the Isle of Celeste and see it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in many years from now, a white demonic creature will walk with her angelic partner onto the grounds of the cathedral built in her name and in honour of a deity that forgave a betrayal. 7 years pass. You live 32 years and you 28. During that time, I'd say like the first story of the cathedral is complete. This will be an endeavour that will last decades. During those 7 years, the 4 of you in particular, Zanlin, Kilgar, Elluen, Danae, are close and spend much of your time together. During that time, you have a quick sortie to the western part of Horizon and do battle with a dragon sorcerer to help your friend, which takes you for several moons away to a realm that you know maybe after your work here is done you might visit for longer. But for the most part, you are home. What does Elluen do with his magic? What does he do? How does he spend his time? What does he want to build, create, leave behind?
He makes a bunch of spells.
You want to develop your own magic?
Yeah.
You can teach Jack.
Oh yeah,
Do you
definitely.
create a school? Do you think you would create a school or not really?
Don't think now's the time.
Okay.
I've just retired.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I'm not retired.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be teaching Jack some spells.
The day comes when Jack, first level,
Oh.
and you realise from your tower that he needs certain components for some spells. One such component being some troll's fat. When the day comes, you smile to yourself in remembrance
I'm going to be eaten by a dragon.
of those 10 years before. So you go to one of your storage cupboards and you take out a staff given to you by your master with a ball on the top.
Chirac.
Your simulacrum no longer needing it. You hand it to Jack and bid him to go collect his own material components. Oh, but master, I want to do this. I do want to do this. It's just it's a little bit risky.
Maybe stop by a tavern first to see if you can pick up. I don't know.
I'll go to the bloody side.
That
Maybe
one.
I can get myself some muscle to help me along. All right. Well, when do you want me back?
Oh, come back when you've got the troll's fat, or
Fire, right? Fire and acid to get them.
yep, that's it.
I've
Also,
remembered it.
all you must do is bang the staff on the floor and say Chirac, and it will light up.
I will do. I will do. Mama. Oh yes, dear. Says Deli. Are you off now? You look after yourself, all right? And here I've wrapped you up some food. And you watch out your window as Jack leaves your tower, walks out through the gates, wearing some black robes that no longer useful for you, and goes off to the bloody side to see if he can find some muscle, a sword for hire to help him in his task to find some troll's fat. Are we at that point? Through all this time, something has itched at you both. Like a wound that never heals. And that is the thing that lies in the safe in your tower. in the bag. And you realise in the previous 9 years since you've been back, you've not even opened that safe. But you know, today you have an appointment that you and Danae cannot put off any longer. So with a slightly trembling hand, you open the safe. And there lies the very innocent looking bag of holding, which you know contains a fragment of an ancient, perverted, long banned magic. Something that is world ending. Just sitting in a bag in a safe. Its very presence here in this plane of existence is a perversion and a risk too great. For can you really risk that some devotee in some decade to come plunders the outer planes for an old enough fiend that might know or be able to find out the command word to such a thing? What if Dolgoloth herself could pass it to a fiend, a demon lord, and on to a cultist who might begin a lifetime search for this item? It's too great a risk. So, here we are at the end. The day begins with the two of you at Elluen's tower. What is it that you are going to do?
Take the bag. We must go to the crater, the site.
Okay. Well, they take us there.
Alright, well, regardless of how much the landscape may have changed as a result of your heroism, your teleport can take you straight there. So, on this day, you burn a 7th level slot to blink yourselves from the tower to the edge of the Taraeon crater. You find yourself instantly at the edge of a great canyon. This crater spans scores of miles, east to west, north to south. It is deep, it is black, and far beneath the millions of tons of rubble lies not only Rishnik, but a rift to the negative plane underneath millions of tons of rock and broken civilization. Far, far on the horizon, you swear you see a needle point, a black needle point that marks the enormous tower of Trevelyan. But in this weather with the haze, it is hard to make out. It is a mighty day. This is a day where some help will be implored. What, if anything, would you like to do? You land and arrive in broken, craggy Badlands. Grey rock, not greyed by enervancy, but greyed by the dullness of the weather here. The perpetual storm clouds above, and the fact that horrific creatures make this area their home. Here, in about as close to hell as you can get on the prime material plane, is where you will do what?
Take the stone out. I will.
Take the stone out.
I'll mimic what I saw in my vision. So, go to the edge.
You stand at the pinnacle. There is always a point with craters where there is the very lip. There is the point where the ground drops away. As you get closer, you notice a few bits of dust and rock fall off the edge. You recognize how treacherous it is here.
I'll do what I saw in my vision. So, hold the stone up. Like that.
Do your percentage portent,
Alright.
just for fun.
72.
Okay, great. And you do divine intervention. If that's what you will. I'm not saying you need it, but roll in anyway.
23. So that
It
succeeds.
succeeds. You feel a connection to the holy, to the divine. What do you do?
I say, please, please take this from me. It does not belong here. It must go.
With that, you both find yourself released from terra firma and floating up. Both your sets of wings, unbidden, burst and spread from you, and you find yourself held in some divine countenance as you float 10, 20, 100 feet up into the air, the stone already burning your flesh in your palm, the broiling storm clouds above, and the wretched broken ground stretching thousands of meters beneath you. Yet something listens. From out of the clouds, a tiny parting comes, and a beam of radiance bursts through, illuminating you. And down that beam of radiance walks your goddess. Some 100 foot high, she walks. And as she walks down towards you, she removes her blindfold. And you see eternal sadness and acceptance and love. As she holds the blindfold in her hand, you see bright, white, golden radiant eyes look upon you with such age. She comes down towards you. As she comes, she shrinks somewhat, is diminished, but no more diminished in power and the magnitude of the divinity that radiates from this being, until she is some 20 feet tall. And she stops on the beam of light in front of you, up in the air. We must give up the stone to those that I call God. The High One will come for it. With it, I will be punished. My punishment is annihilation. But for one remnant, justice needs replacement. I choose you. Will not be an easy path of ascension. But the world needs justice. And she shrinks more, almost becoming less powerful somehow, as she attains a size similar to yours, slightly bigger, just in the air. And you are witness to all of this, because once every maybe 10,000 years, a mortal is chosen to consider ascension. It is not something that happens with the click of a finger. It requires trials beyond comprehension of a normal mortal. And that's what's happening here of the Pit of Taraon now. What would you say to me, my child?
Thank you. I owe you so much. And I love you.
And with that, she blinks her eyes and a single tear, beautiful and radiant, blinding, erupts from her eyes, and she takes it in her finger. And she places it on your head. And just before it touches, you realise that some great purpose is about to take place. And as her finger touches your head, you are flashed into all eternity. You see everything. You see the praying millions. You see light. You see powers coursing through you. For just a moment, you see and know everything. And then you recognize that some potential has been placed within you, if you should choose it. She takes the stone from your hand. A part of me that is justice and is law and is order is within you now. I am diminished. Take good care of her, Elluen.
Okay.
You will need it. As she turns and she looks up to the heavens. I'm ready! She screams, holding out the stone. Take me! Take this cursed item! And it echoes around the canyon, echoes around the cave. And the clouds part suddenly and violently, and like a trumpet, radiance beams forward unlike anything you've seen. You both look away at the radiance of it. But burned into your corneas is the image of a being the size of a mountain stepping through, made of nothing but light. And with it in its hands, it scoops up the tiny form of your goddess, and in a moment envelops it in its entirety of its radiant power. And all of you know nothing but how small you are. And then it is gone. The clouds are left open. And through the clouds there is nothing but blue sky. You find that your radiant wings are gently beating slowly in the air. You recognize that whatever force was keeping you aloft, it has expired, so that you enact a flying spell to be able to retain your altitude. As the two of you come in to land, you realize that the entity that is Palladius is no more. That everything that she was and everything she stood for still remains in the hearts, in the souls of those living beings for whom justice, order, and right is important. You feel some grave seed of potential within you that awes you and terrifies you all at once. The two of you spend several hours, you mainly comforting her, here at the site of the great catastrophe of Tarail. And rather than stand and rather than be teleported, you feel the need to walk somewhat. And so you traverse the craggy, broken ground for some miles. Before you consider the journey home. It is sometime later the two of you arrive back in Davlin. It's your home. There your friends, Zanlin, Kilgar, people of Davlin, not to mention a pretty decent second tower for you, has become the mainstay of your life. You have always lived your life with a sense of justice and that you were serving something higher than yourself. And it was always a comfort to you, especially later on, to know that such a thing could take form, could be given a name, and that now you are perhaps fearful with the void that is left, with the destruction of a god. For you to witness such things makes you marvel further at the powers available to those in this world. And, as you always have, the responsibilities that must go with it. And it's here, on a small island, in the middle of a beautiful crystal lake, just a few days' journey from the town that you both grew up in, that we finish our story. Danae and Elluen have a lot to be getting on with, and will be much needed in coming decades ahead. And as the camera pulls back, we see a white-haired wizard, his arm around his red-haired friend, as they enter a manor rebuilt in her family's name, to comfort each other, to be there for each other, and to love each other, look out and protect each other through all of the adventures that life has to bring. And that's where we're going to leave the tale of Danae Elluen and Elluen Lancaster.
Yeah!
Alright. That's the end of campaign 1.
Good. That was very cool.
Thank you so much.
We will be back in maybe a month or two to actually broadcast our session 0 for campaign 2. Until then, please let people know about this campaign. Let us know what you've enjoyed. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.
We hope you liked
Thank
it.
you.
We hope that it's inspired you to play D&D with your family members, your friends, and even your parents.
Even
Even
Oh,
your
Even your parents.
Get your mama or daddy DMing for you. And if you are a mother or a father listening, play D&D with your kids.
Do it now.
That's it for now. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
See you in campaign 2.
See you in campaign 2 very, very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.